So now we're at the part of our activities where we're reading Malala Yousafzai's Nobel lecture. So we've been acting under this guiding question of, is Malala a hero or not? And you guys by this point should have already read the article and annotated looking for behaviors that she is exhibiting that are heroic. So you guys should have already done that part. That was what we did on this page. And if you needed a refresher on how to annotate, you can go back to the video on slide 22. So everybody should have already opened this, and we should have our annotations on her Nobel lecture. I have mine right here already open. So now we're going to go ahead and get our organizer open. And I'm going to show you guys how to use this to make sure that we are coming up with good evidence for our future essay. So you can go ahead and make a copy like you have done before. And you can see that we've got our instructions here. We're going to use evidence from Malala Yousafzai's Nobel lecture and Who is the Real Hero, the two readings that we have done on this assignment, to collect evidence to determine if Malala should be considered a hero or not. After we collect all that evidence, we're going to think through it, and then we're going to answer the question, should Malala Yousafzai be considered a hero? Why or why not? And just as a reminder, she was a Pakistani activist who fought for girls' education rights. And that was troublesome in her time, and she ultimately was targeted by the Taliban and ended up being shot in the head, but she survived and became a very outspoken proponent of making sure that girls could have access to school. So how we're going to go through this organizer is that we are going to look for two types of evidence. The first type of evidence is going to be evidence for how she is heroic, what she's doing that could be considered a hero. The second type of evidence is going to be looking for evidence how she's not heroic, how maybe she's just a regular person and is kind of going with the flow a little bit. She's not all that unique, and she's in the self-preservation realm instead of the heroism realm. So we're going to be looking for both of those types of evidence as we read her Nobel lecture. And then at the end of that, once we have enough evidence collected and we've thought through it all, we're going to be making a claim that says either she is a hero or she is not a hero because of the reasons that we found in our evidence. So let's go ahead through. Right now you should have this organizer open, and you should have your annotated version of her Nobel lecture. So you can see that I have already read through this lecture, and then I have a bunch of notes about instances of, where I had questions and where I thought she might be being heroic or not. So I remember her saying something that I thought was pretty heroic, and it was around paragraph 48, where she said, I am not going to stop until I see every child in school. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this because I think that's a good quote that shows that she is pretty heroic. Because when I was going through this the first time, I thought, wow, she's really fighting. A lot of people would back down after an assassination attempt, but she is brave enough and heroic enough to stand up for what she knows is right. So I think that's a really good example of her being a hero. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. So this is the first piece of evidence for her being a hero, and that is from the Nobel lecture. So I'm going to go ahead and add that source so I don't forget where it's from. And then this first part, the first piece of evidence, I'm just going to put the quote in. And you know that a quote needs a paragraph number, and that came from paragraph 48. And then I can't just have a quote in there. I need my reasoning for it, right? So why do I really think that showed heroism? Well, I think it's that her determination to accomplish her goal is heroic. She is seeking a better world for us all and is willing to put her life on the line for it. Pretty heroic if you ask me. So there you go. That's as simple as it is. I have a quote and I have some reason. That's my first piece of evidence for why she is a hero. And let's go ahead and see if we can find something that shows she's not that heroic. So we're going to pop back to our reading, and we'll see if we can find anything about where she's not heroic. Looking through. I remember this part. I tell my story because it is not because it is unique, but because it is not. It's the story of many girls. Well, I kind of remember here thinking that heroes need to be pretty unique. And if she's not unique here, then like maybe she's not a hero. So I'm going to go ahead and add this highlighted part here. So I've highlighted it, copied it, and I'm going to go ahead and add that into evidence for not a hero. So again, my source is the Nobel lecture. And I'll go ahead and add that quote in. Oops. And I remember that came from paragraph 29 to 31. So here we go. Here's my full quote. And now I need to go ahead and add my reasoning so I don't forget about it later. So let's see, what did I think? Heroes need unique qualities. Otherwise, too many people could be considered heroes. The fact that this has happened to other women outside of Malala means that it's just makes her a representative of the hardships, not a true hero. So there you go. Now I have one piece of evidence for why she is heroic and one piece of evidence for why she is not heroic. So I'll go through and finish my other pieces of evidence. I'm going to need to find ultimately 3 pieces of evidence for why she is heroic and 3 pieces of evidence for why she's not heroic. And then when I've found all of those pieces of evidence, I'll go ahead and make a claim. Should she be considered a hero or should she not be considered a hero? Should she or should she not? So I'll make that claim and then I'll give some reasoning behind it. So for example, if I said she should be considered a hero, it might be because she fights for the benefit of all people and is not afraid to risk her life to accomplish her goals of equality. And then once I'm done with that, once I have my evidence and my claim, everything's all set and I can move on to the next thing. So go ahead and look through your annotations on your Nobel lecture and on your Who is the Real Hero essay and see what you can get added to your organizer. Good luck.